Today I want to talk about post-acute withdrawal syndrome, or PAWS as it's more commonly known. I want to talk about what it actually is and also how to manage it over a period of time. The first thing I want to say is this is a real condition. There's no, it's science that tells us this condition is real. In the past, I think many people thought it was perhaps a psychological condition, and it was in people's minds as they were recovering from drug addiction, alcohol addiction. But I can assure you it's real because, as I say, there's a lot of research being done in science on it now, which I'll share with you. And also I personally have suffered from it a few times when I've withdrawn from substances. It's more commonly suffered from when you recover from or withdraw from alcohol, benzodiazepines or opiates. They're the three that it seems more common in or more prevalent in. But it is a real condition. I just want to reassure you of that to start with. So what is it actually? Well, the first stage, when you go into withdrawal from a substance, let's just say in this instance, well, alcohol or opiates are good examples, both of them of this. You go into what is called acute withdrawal. So your body has become dependent to survive. A lot of its chemical reactions, particularly in the brain, are reliant on that drug. So you can actually function. So when you suddenly stop that drug or stop that alcohol, everything goes hyper basically because your body can't manage without that substance. So you go into what's called acute withdrawal. And the symptoms are, as you're probably aware if you've suffered from it, extremely unpleasant. I mean, they vary slightly between, and please look in more detail. There's some really detailed videos on the channel about acute alcohol withdrawal, acute opiate withdrawal, benzodiazepine withdrawal, how to prepare for it and how to get through it. Please subscribe, like and share the videos. Just means one or two more people will see them. But have a look at those because I'm not going to talk in detail about the actual withdrawal now, but more about the post-acute withdrawal. So you go through sort of 3 to 5 days typically, depending on the person, depending on the substance, depending on the amount that you were taken, 3 to 5 days of acute withdrawal. And then it sort of tails off a bit. By no means are you sort of fit and well. I mean, things tail on for a bit after that, but the main part of the acute withdrawal is over. But what people don't realise is, I think to a certain extent, they expect you just to be on the up from there. But if you've been using a substance for a particularly long time, or in a big amounts, then you're not going to recover from it overnight. And this thing called post-acute withdrawal symptom happens. And what it essentially is the brain recalibrating itself. When you take a substance, let's talk about opiates for a second. They sit on opiate receptors and they stop eventually the feel-good chemical dopamine. And your body relies on dopamine and endorphins for all, just to feel good, to feel motivated, to feel... But opiates actually stop the production of that. And if you've been taking them for a long time, when you suddenly stop, you have your acute withdrawal. Because essentially some of the most horrible symptoms like restless legs are because of lack of dopamine. So it doesn't just magically switch itself off on again and rebalance and recalibrate. There's lots of chemical reactions in your brain that will take months to heal. And typically with post-acute withdrawal, it can be anything from 6 months to 2 years of experiencing some of these symptoms. Now, that you're not going to experience, everyone's different, but typically the experiences that I had, and having talked to a lot of people about, when you get, after a period, if you like, when you get stressed, and you'll experience some of these symptoms, and they can vary, but the most typical ones are fatigue, real fatigue, insomnia is another one. Some people get restless legs, depression, Deep depression is a very common one, and some people have muscle cramps. Some people, experience that sort of thing, but it's mostly along the lines of what I've just talked about, and it's extremely unpleasant because you think you're never going to recover, and it's very demotivating. And some people experience some of the other symptoms as well, some of the other withdrawal symptoms. The thing is, what you have to understand is as soon as you stop taking the drug, your body fights to go into something called homeostasis, which is rebalancing essentially. Your body's a miracle. So it'll immediately, as you stop, it'll start to fight back, if you like, and recalibrate and rebalance and try to produce the chemicals. Now, it's all over the place, your brain, so you're producing all sorts of chemicals that, for instance, your adrenal glands are pumping out adrenaline at a furious rate when you first stop, which is what causes all the insomnia and the restlessness. The dopamine production, the restless legs and the lethargy and the fatigue and the depression, endorphins, all of this is trying to sort of fight to rebalance in your brain. So you have to. It's really difficult because it causes many people to relapse post-acute withdrawal syndrome, but it's a real condition. There are several things you can do about it that I did that will help it heal, and I would use the word heal because it is about healing more quickly. The first two really important ones are essentially diet, supplementation and exercise, or just getting out and about in the daylight, which I talk about a lot on the channel, but it's nature's medicine. And if you want your body to repair and heal more quickly, which is what P.A.W.S is all about, the recalibration of these chemicals to stop you feeling horrible all the time, then you need to do this. You need to practice some self-care. And that self-care involves, first of all, supplementation. So what I did was supplement with a really good, strong multi-B vitamin. But all of these I'm talking about, it's worth investing. And I know times are hard with money and all the rest of it, but going to a quality health food store and getting some good, proper vitamins, which are got no additives and rubbish in them, but really good time release ones if you can get them. So a super strength multi-B vitamin, really important, particularly in alcohol withdrawal syndrome. So that really helps. And then I supplemented with 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C a day. I supplemented with some really important chemicals for the brain, which are magnesium and also zinc, which again, these are overlooked a lot. I think about 80% of people are short of magnesium as a general rule anyway. These are all important for chemical reactions in your body. Magnesium controls about, I think it's 200 or 300 different chemical reactions in your body. So you need that, you need to supplement with it. So look up the best form of magnesium supplement for you. Again, if you go into a good health shop, they will advise you on that. An easily absorbed one is always more practical. And they're the main sort of supplements, and also possibly a really good multivitamin and mineral on a daily basis. Now, if you take those on a daily basis and include, a really good quality diet, cut out sugar if you can, cut out processed food if you can, being as clean as you can with your diet, as clean as you can afford to eat, basically. Because as I say, times are hard, aren't they? So just to eat as healthily as you possibly can 2 or 3 times a day. And it's just such an investment and will speed that process up. And the other thing that will speed the process up is exercise. Just getting out for a walk every day is brilliant. In the light, in the sunshine, if you're lucky enough to have sunshine, but in the daylight, moving your body every single day. Now, if you've got the energy to lift some weights, that's even better, because resistance exercise speeds things along, so calisthenics and weights, probably your best, but walking is excellent, be aware and breathe while you're walking, because the object of a lot of this also is to keep your stress levels down, because what sparks some of these episodes of P.A.W.S is stress, and we're all under stress these days, aren't we? So you've got to learn to manage your stress. So exercise will help you do that. It will help stimulate endorphins. It will help stimulate those brain chemicals that you need. It will make you feel good, and it will about yourself, if nothing else. But will speed all these processes along, you know. And sometimes it'll be really hard, particularly if you're fatigued, to get out and about. Now, if you're unlucky enough to have some of these other symptoms, I've had a lot of people contact me still getting restless leg syndrome. Go to the doctors and ask for ropinrole. That's Ropinrole, ropinrole. It's a dopamine reuptake inhibitor. So it stops dopamine being reabsorbed into your body, stimulates dopamine production, which is what mostly causes restless leg syndrome. There are other drugs, but ropinrole is probably the one that's is most effective. So, you know, and other symptoms that come up, you're just going to have to sort of manage. If it's pain, you just have to manage with ibuprofen or Advil or whatever, because, you know, these things. But moving about in the diet and the supplementation will help all of these things anyway. Another thing is, which is essential, because you're going to feel like relapsing sometimes when you get into these situations, you need to find a group that you can, a peer group preferably, other addicts or other alcoholics or whatever it is, or someone that understands, that you can talk to on a regular basis when you're feeling these feelings of stress, that everything's becoming too much. Because sometimes pause can take the form of massive cravings and obsession to go and take that drug of choice or whatever. And, you know, you need to do anything you can to avoid that. Talking is amazing. I mean, I make no secret of the fact I'm in a fellowship. So I talk with people who, on a daily basis if I want to, and sometimes I need to, and that keeps everything under control. But my pause, and I was a heavy user of both opiates and alcohol, and I came off at different times, at different periods of my life, typically lasted between sort of 6 and 9 months. But the last time I was using this method I've just talked about, this supplementation, diet, exercise, talking therapy, etc. Then I think it was about 3 or 4 months or something like that. And then all of a sudden I felt a great surge of energy again, and it was okay. But I just want to reassure everyone that you can get over it. For some of you that are really unlucky, it will drag on. But there is light at the end of the tunnel. It will get better, I promise you that. But you need to practice this self-care and everything you can to that is healthy, basically. And again, I put into that meditation. Oh, and also just one other thing quickly, insomnia, because that can be an issue around pause. Look at my last video on sleep. That will help you. It's on the channel. Look at that, because it's something that you need to invest in, because that will help you recover more quickly as well. Good quality sleep. So I hope that's been of some use for you and giving you some hope, because I know it's horrible and you think it's never going to end, but it does end if you look after yourself and you're doing the right things. So Carpe Diem, seize the day today. Much love to you all. Good luck. Bye-bye.